Night Raw starts off with Gunther. He was cutting a promo. He starts mentioning Damian Priest. Then Priest comes out and Priest absolutely destroyed Gunther on the microphone. He starts mentioning, Gunther always had this unstoppable, this unbeatable aura about him. But he says that after SummerSlam, that unbeatable aura, that feeling of him being unbeatable is slowly getting lower and lower each month. He ends up mentioning how, after SummerSlam that he didn't get cost by Finn Balor at SummerSlam, that he would be world champion. Then he ends up mentioning his recent loss to Cody Rhodes. And then he ends up saying that Gunther is continuing to doubt himself more and more each week. And that he says that he ends up knowing he's right because he's not talking and he's not attacking. Because during this segment, Gunther didn't respond back to anything to Damian said, or he didn't even attack him. Then we end up getting a moment where Ludwig comes out to defend Gunther. Gunther stops him because Gunther didn't want him to stick up for him. Then Damian ends up taking out Ludwig, and then that's the end of the segment. Gunther was thinking about attacking Damian Priest during this segment, but he didn't, and he kept on avoiding it. So this is very interesting. I love the story that they're playing, that Gunther is doubting himself. Gunther is not really sure if he can beat Damian Priest. I like this. I like the story that they're telling. I really enjoyed this. I can't wait to see how that match plays out. Can't wait to see how they continue this feud. It is confirmed for Survivor Series, so I'm interested to see how this story plays out because I think it's really good. I'm glad that Damian Priest has moved on to bigger and better things, and he's doing some really good work. And he was really good in this segment. This segment was really good, and I really love the angle that they're playing here. After this, though, we end up getting Dakota Kai. She ends up making her return from injury. I don't really have much to say. She ended up having a match against the PFC. It was a 6-woman tag match. I'm not going to speak about the match. I'm just really going to speak about Dakota Kai here. Interested to see what's next for Damage Control. I'm assuming they're going to continue this babyface run that they're having. I just don't know how they're going to do it since now it's 3 of them. I don't know if they're going to change the tag team or is Dakota Kai going to be more of a single star. Don't know how they're going to play that. But overall, I'm happy that she's back. Hopefully she stays healthy and continue to, build up the women's division. But overall, happy that she's back. Now, we end up getting Kofi Kingston, Xavier, R-Truth, and Pete Dunne. It was a segment where Pete tried to address R-Truth, but Kofi ended up interrupting, which led to Pete Dunne and Kofi Kingston having a match. During the match, it was a moment where Kofi was inside the ring, Pete Dunne was outside, and Xavier ends up attacking Pete Dunne. Kofi ends up seeing it, arguing with Xavier, and that ends up costing Kofi Kingston the match. They're slowly building, the dissension of the New Day. They're playing it slow, but we're seeing more and more Xavier doing more heelish things, being more ruthless, not really trying to be friends with anybody, trying to do whatever it takes to pick up the victory. So I don't know how much longer they're going to go here, because honestly, if you really want to, you can low-key drag this to Mania. But I don't think they should have their first match at Mania. That should probably be like the blow-off match. But you could definitely drag this story all the way to Mania. I don't know when Kofi and Xavier are going to eventually have their first match or when the heel turn is going to happen. But it is interesting. They are going to slow burn this. So I am interested to see how this plays out. But Xavier is getting closer and closer to becoming that full-on heel. Then after this, speaking of heels, Judgment Day. They end up having a segment. Dominic was speaking about last week's match, the Fatal 4-Way. Then Finn Balor ends up alluding to Damian Priest winning the match and how he's closer to becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Then Dominic ends up they end up going back and forth, but then Dominic ends up speaking about how he ended up beating Damian Priest and how he got closer to the World Heavyweight Championship than Finn Balor has recently. Finn Balor took offense to that, of course. They end up going back and forth, but ends up getting calmed down a bit. But they're building, Finn and Dom turning on each other. I like this. I like the eventual breakup of the Judgment Day because, no offense, the Judgment Day needs to end. It needs to end. The group is just not the same. They still pull crazy views. They still are like one of the most viewed factions, on WWE's money-wise and on their anything with the Judgment Day pulls views. But the group for itself is just not the same without Damian and Rhea. But I like the story that they're telling of the dissension of the Judgment Day. I do like it with them having cracks, with eventually them breaking up. So I do like the story that they are telling there. Interested to see how that plays out. We end up getting a Bronson Reed promo afterwards. He basically calls out Seth Rollins. He calls out Seth Rollins to fight him. Seth Rollins then comes out and it ends in a brawl. Basically ends in a no contest. Neither, where security ends up breaking them up. This is really good. I like what they did here. They need to do more of this with other superstars, with other WWE wrestlers when they don't know, who to win or who to lose. Just do stuff like this. But this was really good. Love this. Building this up. Very interested to see how this plays out. But after this, though, there was a segment with Seth Rollins. Well, before Seth Rollins, it was a Bloodline segment where Jimmy J and Jimmy looking for a fifth member. Sammy has the idea for a fifth member, and it ended up being Seth Rollins that he's trying to recruit. Now, of course, Seth Rollins ends up refusing. Of course, he's not teaming up with Roman Reigns. Now, the only thing is, why do we need a fifth member? I don't understand it, because me personally, I feel like 4v4 is perfect, and I don't think there's not a fifth member on either side that would actually fit the match. I feel like the only way you can make this work is if you incorporate The Rock and then you have Hikuleo, who's reportedly signed to WWE. That's the only way I see this working, but we don't need Cody. We don't need... I get the history is there, but I just don't think we need a fifth member. If it ain't The Rock and Hikuleo, we don't need a fifth member. I'm just going to be honest. If it ain't those two, do not add a fifth member. Also, if Seth Rollins is going to... Now, it is confirmed that Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins are going to have a match next week. So, and it looks like that's supposed to be the blow-off match because Adam Pearce wants it to end. Now, I don't think that should be the blow-off match because that's only 2 matches. But I could see it being the blow-off match to have Seth Rollins ends up being in the War Games match, which I don't want Seth Rollins in the War Games match. I get the history is there, but I just think it should just be 4v4. I just don't think Seth Rollins should just be thrown into here at the last minute. But we'll see how this plays out. After this, we end up getting Braun Breaker and Sheamus. They end up having interaction. Their feud ended up being brought up on Speed. They end up having an altercation at the Speed, on their Speed show, which led into this, which is very shocking because they never mentioned Speed on WWE television. The fact that they put it into a storyline is crazy. But they end up mentioning Speed. They end up having an altercation. So Sheamus and Braun will face next week. Braun will probably win, but this is a nice feud to have them. That can build towards something. Who knows? Sheamus could be the one dethroning Braun Breaker. Who knows? But this is something nice for Braun Breaker to do. Have a nice little feud, for him to build up his Intercontinental Championship reign. Afterwards, Jimmy Uso ends up coming out to talk to Braun Breaker. So I don't know what that is about. Because afterwards, Jimmy Uso wanted to talk to Braun, but he didn't say anything. But it cut away. So I don't know. Is he recruiting Braun Breaker to War Games? That would be wild. I don't know what they're going to do with Braun Breaker in his Bloodline storyline, but we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And then we end up getting The Miz, the Final Testament. The Miz basically starts pleading his case towards the Final Testament. He's like, look, I'm done. I'm done with the Wyatts. They let me go because I became a changed man, and that I'm not the evil guy that I used to be, and I'm done. Karrion Kross basically ends up saying that that's not good enough. They drag him to the ring. It looks like they was about to attack him, but the Wyatt Six ends up coming out. But then The Miz ends up sneak attacking one of the Wyatts, I think it was Eric, and hit him with a steel chair. And then the Final Testament ends up standing tall against the Wyatt Six, which is actually crazy because they never stand tall. The Final Testament never stand. Well, actually, they have stood tall before, but typically they're looked at as a losing group. So the fact that they stood tall against the Wyatt Six, who were built very strong, it's actually crazy that they was able to stand tall, which is actually very wild. But yeah, they end up standing tall. This is very interesting. I like this. And The Miz is still to his evil ways, which I like. Final Testament is slowly getting over, mainly due to The Miz, but still, I'm liking this. I'm liking this story, and this is very interesting. I can't wait to see how they play this out. Then we end up getting the main event, which I'm not going to speak about because I don't really... The main event was just whatever. You get Liv Morgan, Raquel versus Bianca and Jay. Bianca and Jay win with a bunch of interferences from Nia, Tiffany. I think Io Sky came out at one point, which I don't understand why that didn't make any sense. Then afterwards, you get all of them celebrating, which I also didn't like because Bianca during this whole entire run, well, for the past not a year, but the past 7-8 months, I guess, she's been constantly complaining about Damage Control and Bayley. But for whatever reason, when it comes to Io Sky, she has no issue with her, which I don't understand because Io Sky hasn't changed. she's a baby face, but she never went down that like babyface route of changing, becoming a better person. Like Bailey has went through the journey. We saw her journey of changing and becoming a different person. We saw the journey of Jey Uso. Io Sky has never gotten that. So I don't understand why storyline wise she doesn't like Bailey, but storyline wise she doesn't have a problem with Io Sky, even though Io Sky was doing the things in them. I don't get it. I don't know if they forgot. I don't understand it, but whatever. Overall, this tonight's show, I mean Monday Night Raw show was really good. Oh yeah, this video is coming out late because my work schedule, I worked very late last night, and this is why it's coming out so late, so I apologize for that. My NXT review is probably going to be the same way, so yeah, accidentally fell asleep, couldn't upload it, so that's why this video is coming out late. But you guys let me know what you guys, your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, but yeah, that's it.